this video we'll be doing something a bit different from my usual kind of material, and it's going to be a commentary this time. I'll make videos like this in the meantime while my main videos as a part of the series are being developed, and these are just a fun and easy thing to do. And our first topic is actually quite expendable and up for discussion for someone like me, and that is my home state of Texas. This state is a continuously altering idea for me because on one hand, I've lived in this state my entire life, and I've had great times going to numerous places for activities and education here, but otherwise, there's the terrible weather, interesting people, opinionated and annoying news outlets, even though that applies to everywhere, annoying traffic, stupid television, less than respectable history, and I apologize. I must have been rambling about the negatives like I always do. Anyways, with that out of the way, I can just determine Texas as either a place I've had to put up with for all my life with a regretful sigh, or a home I can gleefully embrace and enrich myself with its culture and personal knowledge I have about its quirks and attributes. At this point, I can just pick the latter, so to perfectly determine my exact feelings on this oh-so-wonderful state, I'm going to review this state by its weather, its social customs, its people, its culture, and its history. Now, let's get to my opinions on the Lone Star State.
Tell the mommy I want to be a goddess.
Well, here's a pretty topic-neutral part, the weather. In Texas, to be honest, it remains quite consistent on a seasonal basis, and it doesn't drastically change annually. To summarize, seasons would be like mid-November to late February is winter, about 4 weeks of March is spring, and for the entirety of April onward till early October is summer. Honestly, I could say Texas only has about 3 seasons, with the secondary blend between autumn and vernal consistencies being extremely narrow because of our extreme weather patterns. Especially in East Texas where I live because of us being so close to the Gulf of Mexico. Usually due to the persistent low pressure, we maintain a lot of humidity, and there aren't often northern winds unless it's a chillier time like winter or autumn, so we're left with asphyxiating and inescapable hell heat in our air because there's nothing but vapor in it as water rises. That would usually explain why 90 degrees in, say, Galveston is hellacious compared to 101 degrees in Nevada or Arizona. One's dry, so the air isn't consistently that irritating because of humidity, but personally I prefer that blazing heat comparable to the flaming pits of hell rather than the opposite. You see, I love the spring, and especially the summer, for more reasons besides the fact that I get a break from instructional education for a while. I like it because there's a moderate warm temperature, and to be frank with you, I don't mind the blazing heat continuously beaming down on me. The reason? Because of the fact that I'm so used to it that it leaves me unprepared for the colder months. I hate the cold! I get seasonal allergies in winter all the time, and I can never seem to avoid it no matter how much I cover up or drink warm beverages. That, and it's in the middle of the second semester in the school year, and I always hate waking up. I know it's worse for you guys in the north, but imagine having to deal with a crippling blizzard feeling and temperature on your Texas-grown skin, but with no snow. It may even seem weird to northerners because like our heat, they're used to snowy days. But aside for that short snow period in December of 2017, it has never snowed in my region of Texas for 12 years. So to sum up winter, crappy weather, seasonal allergies, the starting of school, which I hate, I actually like going to school otherwise, and to top it all off, no snow to enjoy the outdoor pastimes. Damn, nature's just wonderful here. And of course, I cannot mention weather in Texas without the infamous hurricane problem we have. Aside from Florida and the Caribbean countries, Texas has it pretty bad for hurricane season. Hurricane Harvey hit my hometown of Houston almost 3 years ago now, and people are still struggling from the problems. Due to the urban structure of highways, bayous, etc., it has left the city devastated with floods literally covering the entire town. I wasn't directly affected by it, but I do know relatives of mine that did, and I pray for those that have had to take extended time to recover, and those that are still doing so now, God forbid. So to summarize the weather, I have my own personal bias towards the shitty extreme weather of both sides of the spectrum, but I'm sure we can all agree that hurricanes suck. Next thing I'd like to talk about is social customs here. Considering Texas is one of the many southern states, manners and respect are one of the most important things to take into consideration around others. Personally though, throughout my entire childhood, I was continuously coached into behaving with utmost best behavior in regards of treatment of the outside world. Not to say people in literally every other place of the world aren't raised the same, but in Texas and the South in general, there are a few differences in social communications and standards among elders and peers. The usual standards of literally everywhere would be to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, and no sir. In Texas, on the other hand, you have to continuously maintain eye contact, don't ignore people's statements in regards of your opinions toward them, be honest, and this can be shown in many ways, and I cannot stress this enough, don't act weird. Don't say offensive jokes or say whatever potentially awkward thing that's on your mind. I've learned at least 2 of these the hard way. But then again, most of the things I've said probably apply to pretty much everywhere, but even then, in Texas, it's more rigorous. Another thing I'd like to riff on is how serious Texans take sports, particularly football. Not that I have a problem with it, it's just it only annoys me that every couple minutes I'm either asked if I play a sport or if I watch it, and I always proceed to say no. Then it leads to me being the odd one out and someone speaking on my behalf saying I'm the computer guy, but I guess it's more my fault because that's just what people think commonly. Again, it's more of a nitpick, and the thing is, I kinda know about football but only to an extent, and through the few times I've watched it, I've always considered it to be rigged. Ultimately, I just don't get a lot of enjoyment out of it, and I feel genuinely disturbed when someone may be yelling at the TV at full capacity. And it's moments like those where I just sit and think, what the hell is wrong with this cursed house? One more thing I'd like to talk about is living in Texas as a black person. Yes, despite how I may sound, I am indeed a black kid. And to be honest, I've considered it to be a good experience, but one that brings me grief in which I can't really comprehend. But I guess I just have to accept it as a fact. The thing is, because of my dialect and how I generally view living life outside of religion is consistently different. Usually because I never share the same interests and everything I say is deemed weird to them. I get called, and I'm not even trying to offend with this or joke with this, the white kid. Just because, of how I sound. But I usually don't take it to heart, and I've kinda learned to live with it now. But essentially, sometimes life here can be tough for introverted people such as myself, but as long as you don't act stupid and show respect, I'm sure you'll be good here. Well, I'm gonna have a ball game talking about the people here. Texas in itself can be a really diverse place, where I live. There's a massive amount of different ethnicities and racial backgrounds. There are millions of people where I am in Houston, and I've seen people of many lineages and generations of people and heritage. And for the most part, a lot of people here are polite and mostly don't have a lot of hate. With that being said, sometimes Texas feels like a subtly segregated place in which communities can be easily divided on account of their economic class and sometimes race. Before you say I'm a retard for that, let me give you an explanation coming from someone who's seen and lived this way their entire life. The public education system usually has had the same consistency of race throughout each school for low to middle class, but for minorities primarily. Usually the percentage of students is 50% Hispanic, about 35% black, 10% Asian, and 2 to 5% white. It may seem like I'm conspiracizing, but unfortunately, this is not a coincidence. Considering Texas is a more right-leaning state, economically privileged upper-class students are enrolled in generally higher quality schools, and all are the same ethnicity, that being Caucasian. The thing is, I used to go to an all-white school when I was about 5 or 6, but my family disputed where I wanted to go, so I was dragged back to the normal schools. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but the first school I went to sucked. But then eventually, after I made about 3 transitions, I'd meet all my friends that you saw in my cringy old videos. The school I go to now is a gold ribbon school, and it performs very well, surprisingly, but it still has the same diversity rate as any normal school. But moving on to a more positive note, let's talk about the heavy Latin influence on the state. To give a short hint of historical context, Texas belonged to Native Americans, then Spain, then Mexico, then America, then the Confederacy, then America. Meaning in total, Texas has switched under the rule of different people 5 times. But for that short while Mexico had Texas, its culture would be embedded into the land as Tejano people settled in the area as time progressed. The culture just kind of stayed at some point and then intertwined with Texan culture, which is a mix between American Anglo-Texan and Mexican culture. Over the years, I've come to make many different friends of different cultural backgrounds, and I've learned different ones while still keeping in touch with my own, and I've taught other people of my own culture as well. In terms of my generation in Texas, aka the people I'm commonly around all the time, are mainly the same as any other kid in the US, except the majority of the ones I know are of Hispanic descent, and they proudly represent their heritage. But it's to the point where I've learned a lot, but on some occasions, I'm just left confused. Because although I've been exposed to the culture, I haven't exactly learned it all. So for instance, if I see some kids mariachi dancing or something, I'll just be in sheer perplexion. Not out of rejection, but mainly because a mix of my personality and my upbringing culturally. We also have social cliques per se, but I could care less about them. You got the relatively normal people, the quirky people, the idiots, the popular people, and the nerds, like myself. It sounds like a Disney movie, but I often see it this way. Again, I could care less about where or how I fit in, as long as it's not unhealthy to myself and my peers. Conclusively saying, the people of Texas are pretty diverse and nice people, albeit if there will be some less than respectable people on account of your race. It is the South after all, but those people are rare. Not many ideological Alex Jones type people out there so often, so overall the people are pretty great here. What's up, guys? I'm here to give like a quick little update and explanation on what's been happening through this past period of time, because I'm pretty sure at least some of you are gonna have the questions. Why have you been gone through the entirety of May? Like, you planned to make videos and you've just been gone. You know, why did you leave us with just a few crappy gaming videos and then you vanished once again? Well, allow me to elaborate real quick. So basically, to summarize all of this, I have a crappy HP laptop that does not allow me to edit to full efficiency and quality, and it's just been terrible for me because I always have to move like back and forth between houses every week, and this is the one portable option I have. The other computer I have has a shitty driver. Everything is terrible. This is the one video that actually runs the video editing software Premiere Pro that I utilize. So I use that to edit my videos. It's been running incredibly slow, and of course, because of this worldwide epidemic flu crap, I'd like to call it, that's been going around, I've had to stay at home and work on online assignments, as I am quite the dedicated scholar. So that's been holding me back. A lot of stuff's been holding me back, but for the most part, I decided to just cut this video in half and release it so you guys would have something, because I'm not going to stay off for 2 months again. I'm going to at least upload every month if I have the chance. So yeah, that's basically a brief explanation on why I've been gone for so long. I'll probably make an entire video explaining exactly why everything has been so difficult for me to upload videos, so you'll have a better context and idea. But, you know, to conclude, guys, as always, leave a subscribe if you'd like to see more. Leave me your opinions and thoughts by leaving a like or dislike, and check out the Discord server that I will leave linked below. And as always, I will see you all in the next edition of EnigMarc Entertainment's Cryptic Commentary. Farewell.